What is this? Hey, you don't gotta watch. It's too hot out the DoorDash, so I was gonna record some YouTube videos, but you know, if I'm gonna record a YouTube video, I feel like I might as well stream, you know, because if I'm gonna be recording stuff, hi Kyle 16. If I'm gonna be recording, I'd rather stream it, because I don't want to record reaction videos alone. Obviously, it's stupid to do that, and yeah, that's it. Nothing better to do. Oh God. And I take too many phone calls at night. So when I take phone calls at night, I just I can't do other reaction. Oh man. Okay, let me see. MAGA covers up for true. They do that. They do that. They do that. Some ordinary gamer. Which person is that? Is that like a YouTube video? Some ordinary gamer. 30 minutes. I'll watch that tonight while I'm waiting for phone calls. I'm gonna do the Piers Morgan panel real quick. Mudahar. Oh yeah. Okay. But yeah, feel free to do whatever. I'll just be doing this, get my video ready for uploading and all that kind of stuff. You know how it goes. The YouTube game. I had so many old videos I just deleted with all these conversations. I just never used them. Kind of crazy. All that time. How do we debate? You call the phone number. Oh, I just shut down my stuff? No. No. 1 second. I gotta restart everything. Not the stream. I gotta restart my browser. All Trump achieved is reinstating plastic straws. LOL, 4 likes. Yeah, that's what happens when you just go live. I don't need fans anyway. I'm too cool to have viewers of my content. Why would I need that? All right, let me get this up really quick. I'm almost ready. It's so hot out, dude. This dude's a clown. True. Thank you for noticing. For knowing. Plastic straws was goated. Haha, true. Superman's woke? Superman's freaking woke, dude? There's no way Superman's woke. It can't be woke. What the hell, dude? This shit. Okay. Crazy topic. Alright, anything before I start? I can take phone calls too. If people really want to call in, I could take a phone call. If you want to call the number on the screen. But if not, then we'll just go ahead with this. How's it going? Caroline Levitt. True. I hate her. I do work for Soros. Soros told me all about what Trump did with Epstein. It's not pretty. Tell you what. It's not pretty. Do you fact check? I don't fact check anything. I know all the facts already. No, I don't gotta check them. Alright, video reaction. I have tons of opinions on this. I have a lot of opinions. A lot of Destiny fans attack me for my take on this.
Posted on X. I've been trying to wrap my head around how the flooding in Texas became so devastating so quickly. Why not evacuate? Then I saw this. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick said the Guadalupe River rose 26 feet in just 46 minutes around 4 a.m. That doesn't even seem natural. To which you reposted this and you put your own words. I heard God killed those kids because they were using NordVPN, promo code Destiny, to get around the Texas porn ban.
Okay, we know conservatives are wrong. We know that them saying this is unnatural is stupid. We know conservatives are the reason many people died because they refused to install alarm systems or alerts. They defund FEMA and the National Weather Service. The warnings were not given out properly. The local Republican ran town, embezzled funds essentially, and used tax dollars to pay off the sheriff's department and a retired sheriff and a bunch of other crazy political corruption stuff. Like, we know that's bad. And if you want to use some type of really antagonistic commentary here or a joke to bring eyes to it, like you're a little political M&M, that's cool. But still, I don't think there's any justification for talking about God killing kids because they were using NordVPN to get around the Texas porn ban. You could think it's cool in your community, but you have to understand, this is the same level of disconnected and low IQ and completely just like online, the same level as lefties that say, well, we need to make white people feel uncomfortable. White people need to feel uncomfortable. The point of making white people feel uncomfortable is not to make them feel bad or, really apprehensive to your beliefs. It's to make them have thought-provoking, discussions that have actual utility. And if you're going to say white people should feel uncomfortable, that's not pragmatic. It's not going to bring utility. The same way if you make a really abrasive joke, a really crazy joke, and the joke is this far off base, it becomes a negative return. But I do think some edgy jokes could have worked here. Just don't go after the kids. Don't talk about the kids watching porn. It's just stupid.
On reflection, do you think that was grotesquely tasteless thing to be posting?
Absolutely not. The hand wringing here. Oh my God! Stop. If you want to talk about dead children, then you should talk about the residents of Carroll County who rejected using ARPA funds to build the very siren system that Ted Cruz was over here virtue signaling about. Now that the kids are dead, last I checked, the siren system isn't bringing anybody back to life. Okay, the very same system that they could have built for the better part of the last decade. They didn't want to touch those ARPA funds because they thought that if they did, Biden would go and steal their homes, which is the exact same lie that was told in North Carolina when people were rejecting FEMA funds because they thought that if the government was giving them money for the houses, they'd steal it. If you want to talk about grotesque and ghoulish things that are being said,
it's what you put online. I agree with you. It's what you put online. It is grotesque. It's disgusting. But I mean, I guess that's what you do.
How long have people like you told us that if we spend less money in Ukraine, you guys are going to spend more money investing in things like infrastructure in the United States? Where is that money going? We just had another massive debt increase. Another massive debt increase for more tax cuts for wealthy people.
Okay, these are all true things. But if liberals said true things and won, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. We would not be here right now if that was the case. The same way, like I said, if a far leftist person says white people are terrible and evil and super rich because of racial inequality, they might be true about some points, but it's so counterproductive and it shuts people's brains off. You never want to start the conversation shutting people's brains off because the valid points are not going to be received whatsoever.
Congratulations. Thank you so much.
All right, let me get a Ben.
How's that deficit doing?
Don't talk over each other.
How's our deficit doing? Is it going up or down?
Don't talk over each other. But just to be clear, Destiny, you don't...
No answers.
Just to be clear, Destiny...
I'm going to talk...
Please stop talking.
I'm not going to sit here and argue about jokes when these guys are spreading lies that are leading to the actual destruction of these... Oh, except you guys do when it happens in LA, when it's about the wildfires. You guys make jokes when politicians are getting killed in Minnesota.
Go look at my ex
account. Just the rest of your party is? Just the rest of your party is?
Don't talk over each other because we can't hear you.
All right, yeah, okay.
All right, but Destiny, just to be clear...
The reason conservatives work, and if you look at Charlie Kirk and his strategies. Okay, Charlie Kirk does it in a covert way. It's covert, it's very pragmatic, it's very, like right now Charlie Kirk is becoming mask off, and he's going really hard at like Mamdani, and he's talking about legal foreigners invading America, making America less pure, and our civilization is going to collapse even if we allow legal immigration. So now he's becoming less popular because the mask is coming off. But usually his messaging is more covert, or the messaging on the fires is going to be a lot more obfuscated. It's going to be harder to track. You have to really study how they make it land.
Destiny, just to be clear, you don't regret posting, I heard God killed those kids because they were using NordVPN to get around the Texas porn ban.
While you allow the very same misinformation to spread on this program that leads to people not putting up siren systems, okay, because they think that Biden's going to go steal their
That wasn't my question.
Now, I do think it looks good to position it back to this conversation, and he looks like a whiny baby. But I'm trying to think about, like, what is the best way? Just rapid fire, it's not going to work for everyone. I'm trying to think about like how you position this in a way that would be able to salvage it, but it's a little bit difficult.
Absolutely insane.
Wasn't my question.
It's insane that you want to go
and you see like Brian Tyler Cohen here, like a Democrat. He's probably the biggest commentator online, right, for Democrats, and he looked pretty uncomfortable, in my opinion, this conversation, this panel, because you don't want to put yourself behind. Like you can make fun of the adults that did not plan for the kids and say that it's their fault they passed away, and you could be super abrasive that way.
Pandering liberals over jokes that are not even half as crazy as some of the things these conservatives say.
Okay, but just to be clear, you don't regret doing it.
There's no tweet like that out there.
Just to be clear,
absolutely not.
Just to be clear, you don't regret posting it.
No, absolutely.
Okay, Ben Ferguson.
Here's a couple of things here that I think there's proper information that should get out there. This is an area that I go to often. It's an area that I've taken my kids dozens and dozens of times. It's a very small rural community. When it rains there's always flooding because there's a lot of rock in the ground and the water doesn't absorb in the ground, so you have flash floodings that happen very quickly.
Yeah, that's why they told them to install the alarm systems that they did not do. Okay, so like also, I know people in real life and myself personally, like I know people who want really aggressive messaging, and even they see this shit and they're like, holy shit, like what did he say that? Like why did he say that? They want aggressive messaging, sometimes inappropriate messaging, but it's just, yeah.
Been there when
I'm trying to make sure that everyone is kind of having a reality check of how the real world works as well. We can't get too online and just feed into like a Reddit like a cycle of Reddit gratification.
This was a once-in-a-lifetime 100-year flood. If you want to know about the funding for the system, it's an extremely small community, and the price tag for
I agree. I agree, Bender. Edgelord's failure. That's what it is. It's like Eminem in the song Kim. Okay, I'll use Eminem, the token white. All right, in the song Kim, if you know that song, Eminem goes way too far. And in other songs, he talks about sexually assaulting his own mother. Okay, but in this song, it's really bad. Like Kim is an uncomfortable song to listen to. Like even more than the other songs, but that's a little bit too far. There's a way to live within the ambiguity. You could live inside the I don't know. There's a nuance there.
Is very, very big compared to the tax base that they have in the small community. It is.
Siren systems don't work for flash floods. They were in effect for floods like this that might happen at 3 a.m. when no one's awake, or 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. when the FEMA systems don't work because Republicans defunded it and the messages did not go out. These systems are made for flash flooding. It's a floodplain. Stop talking about shit. You are shitting on the grave of these poor girls that died because your dumbass. You want to do dumb shit because you want to talk about trans people and immigrants all day. You're gonna let all the kids die in the world because your brain is too pathetic and weak to deal with real issues.
Not because of the Matt Boone stuff this guy's talking about. That is not why the community decided 6 years.
Wait, one more thing. Okay, one more thing. This guy said, oh, look, it's the TDS guy again. Okay, watch out, guys. All the PDF files are online using this identifier. If someone says the word TDS, you know that they are supportive of Jeffrey Epstein, that they probably also engaged themselves. Like TDS, you have to watch out. TDS, oh, TDS is the new calling sign for them.
Years ago to not
Whoever
do
says
it,
that.
even though they wanted to. It was a cost issue. What's going to happen now is you're going to have state funds and federal funds, and that system will happen. But go back to this once-in-a-lifetime flood that took place. No one could have prepared or thought this was going to happen. People bought homes on a river where there was constant flooding, where they're built high enough up that flooding has never gotten there before in the history of their lifetime. So this is a tragedy that took place. And by the way, this is personal.
Most of the death happened in a high-risk zone. I could try to find the map.
Because I know people who lost children. There are funerals that are taking place.
Just to be clear, you're saying that there aren't
talking about a funeral for a second?
You're saying
Let him finish,
like 15 times. So you're saying there are no citizens saying that they don't want to use the American Rescue Plan funds. They didn't want to use that money because they thought Biden would take their homes.
I'm going to go back to what I said.
No, I think that
transcript doesn't exist.
I think it can be useful in the world of Asmongold and like, you know, all the streamers and stuff to do what Destiny's doing here. And that's what I always say for all the Destiny fans that are going to be watching this. Like, you can be effective in this realm, but just don't think you're going to appeal to the mainstream at all. You're probably going to be a negative the Democrats in the mainstream.
But can you let Ben finish, given he was talking about the funerals?
So I think this is the map that I saw, and someone could say it's not true. It's on New York Times, and someone put the screenshot on Twitter. Amazing research. So the high risk area, the buildings in the floodway here, we're right here. So if there's a big flood, it's gonna be happening here, and the buildings here, you know, they usually don't have water go that high. Maybe it goes that high, but it's not like going to be damaging to the structures or be life threatening. Then there's a flood risk area up here. There's another channel to the floodway going into this valley here. But these buildings where most of the death happened were located in an area that was a known floodway. And that's why the funds that were going to be distributed there were focused on the alarm system for this particular area. And Republicans locally, again, basically stole the funds. And they said, you know, Biden's going to do communism. And they then took all the money and gave it to their like retired sheriff, and they did corruption with it, essentially. So take of that what you will.
Dead children.
By the way, please drop a like and subscribe. Please drop a like. I'll take your phone calls in like 5 minutes.
That transcript doesn't exist.
But can you let Ben finish, given he was talking about the funerals of dead children?
I have friends whose kids
Please let him finice what he was saying.
He doesn't care. As long as he admits he doesn't give a fuck about the dead kids. That's okay.
You know what, Destiny? You don't give a fuck about the dead kids, do you?
Admit it. I do.
Because you thought it was funny. You thought it was funny. You thought it was funny to go on X and talk about, I heard God killed those kids because they weren't using a NordVPN to get around the Texas porn ban. That is disgusting. You're the one using dead children in a grotesque manner. So let me just lay that down for the record.
Just to be clear, let me lay it down as well. How many people did my joke kill?
No, it's just disgustingly tasteless.
Exactly.
You're sick, man.
And then how many kids died because there's no siren system? Because people like this guy over here made up the lie that Biden was going to steal your homes if you accept American Rescue Plan. If you accept American Rescue Plan money.
He's powering through it. He is powering through it.
Exactly.
I never made that up.
I would like to hear Ben finish the story he was telling us when he was talking about the funerals of dead children. So let him finish that, please.
What do you mean I didn't have the funerals? Wouldn't that be better?
Rather than you talking about why you were right to crack a sick joke.
Can we mute him?
Ben.
Okay. I go back to the point here. This flood did not ask if you were liberal or conservative, rich or poor, black or white, or anything else in between.
Oh, this is such a Bro, he's doing like a like a liberal speech right now. Like,
people lost their lives, and many people lost their lives trying to save kids in an unprecedented flood. If we could go back, I'm sure this community would have said, we'll figure out a way to have the money. You're dealing with an area that has a lot of volunteer first responders and firefighters. Yeah. Can I finish, please? Like, maybe you'll learn something and not be such a tool.
You just lie.
You don't live there. You don't know. You've never been there. I've been there. I've talked to people. You don't know anybody that died in this flood. You're a POS. That's who you are. I would like to finish my point, Piers.
Finish it, Ben.
Thank you. There are people that died in this flood helping try to save the lives of others. There are elderly that died. I know people that lost children in this flood. They would love to go back and have a different warning system. By the way, we don't know if the warning system would have changed anything at all.
Okay, they would love to have a warning system, but by the way, we don't know if it would have changed anything. But by the way, the FEMA messages did not go out, but they were overstaffed. But also, the messages did not go out because of the huge cuts. And the person that did the local community coordination was fired or they took the early retirement package from Trump. And also FEMA didn't send any services until 72 hours after the flood actually started. They didn't send any like response services because Kristi Noem didn't approve it. Kristi Noem. See, the argument here, you have to imagine the median voter that goes from voting, Andrew Schultz or Joe Rogan. They listen to those podcasts. They listen to them as if they are Socrates. Okay, they are the most wise people they know of. Those people, you have to imagine going and pleading to them. Anyone that understands how bad this situation is right now is going to vote Democrat. But you need to understand when you're positioning yourself rhetorically, how are you going to frame this issue in a way that's going to be receptive to those people that are going to clutch their pearls and be led around by stupid emotional stuff. And it's a great, like, Destiny's making great points here. The Destiny point is 100% true. But again, it's harder to advocate for if you're going to be putting up jokes about that. Like, make a joke about something else. It's just not. I need people to understand. It shouldn't even be a hard thing to say, and I know this is a very online thing to even talk about, but like, this is a big media platform. Brian Tyler Cohen's huge. It has reach. Talking about kids who just died in a flood, like the day before, saying that they were watching porn and that's why they got smited by God, is probably the worst joke to point out hypocrisy on the right. That's like the worst possible way to do it that they can use for virtue signaling pretty easily. I don't know why that's a really debatable point on the internet or even just like a controversial point in these circles, but you need to be connected to the real world a little bit, just a little bit.
The warnings came out early. Unfortunately, there's spotty cell phone there. Everyone's talked about this. I'm sure there's people in the community that wish they would have maybe done something different in the past. Hindsight's 2020. But to say that the community decided not to do this because of some insane theory you've come up with, which is not true or based in fact. It was based on a small rural community with not a lot of tax base and a very expensive price tag for something. And for you to sit here and to somehow decide that this is a place to say something.
FEMA tried paying for it. In fact, federal government programs like the ones that Trump wants to kill, the purpose of those programs is to help communities that have budget shortfalls for emergencies like this. This is why we have federal programs with the federal government, which can borrow money and to leverage more tools to help these localities. That's the point of the American Rescue Plan. And you got to make sure you say that as well to reinforce the idea why Project 2025 is a bad thing and why Trump killing like the Doge thing is bad. Like you could probably make a really good policy case here that would be, that would sound reasonable.
So sick. I'm assuming you don't have kids. I have 6-year-old and 8-year-old kids. If you talk to parents that are planning their child's funerals are happening tomorrow and the next day here in Houston, I think you would have a little bit of a soul and a heart for them. But instead, you're out here putting this crap out there. And it's really sad. I hope you get help.
Let me bring in Brian. Brian, I want to talk just about a wider point connected to what Destiny posted, for which he shows no regret at all, which is entirely his choice. But I can say my feelings, which I have. A former appointee to a Houston city board said that Camp Mystic, where most of these poor young girls were at the time, was white-only, conservative and Christian, said Sade Perkins, a former member of the Houston Food Insecurity Board, said in a TikTok video. So take a look.
I know I'm probably going to get canceled for this, but Camp Mystic is a whites-only girls Christian camp. They don't even have a token Asian. They don't have a token black person. If this were a group of Hispanic girls out there, this would not be getting this type of coverage that they're getting. No one would give a and all these white people, the parents of these little girls, would be saying things like they need to be deported.
No, I think that's completely
Charlie Kirk
untrue.
Charlie Kirk blamed the floods on a fire chief that is like 2 hours away in Austin, a black fire chief. He said the floods got worse because of a DEI fire chief. And when you see, TikToks like that, the most radical, person on TikTok saying it's all white camp and they're all whatever privilege and blah, blah, blah. I would prefer that person to the actual neo-Nazi blaming black people, like a black guy 2 hours away, for the flood getting worse. It's just like, and I don't want either of them in the political process. But the issue is that the woman that was just speaking on that TikTok is 0.1% of the Democratic Party, and the Charlie Kirk base of the Republican Party is 70% of their party, 80% of their party. So it's levels of severity that's different. But again, Destiny here is screaming, talking fast. He has the terrible joke. He's adding to the idea that the left is unhinged here. And again, Brian is pissed right now. I guarantee you, Brian is pissed right now because he needs to be next to Destiny. And Destiny's making it harder for Brian to advocate here.
She said, it's completely disgusting to say that in the aftermath of this when these poor girls, many of them are still missing.
Thank you, Kyle. Thanks for the engagement and boosting the channel and the algorithm. I know there's a lot of Jeffrey Epstein defenders in chat right now.
Presumed dead. But then there's a pediatrician called Dr.
I'll take
Christina
the phone
B.
calls in a little bit.
Who's been
Drop a like
fired
on the
after
stream.
posting on social media. She's a pediatrician, this woman. May all visitors, children, non-MAGA voters, and pets be safe and dry. Kerr County MAGA voted to get FEMA. They deny climate change. May they get what they voted for. Bless their hearts. And my question, Brian, putting that together with what Destiny posted, which again, for the record, I thought was disgusting. Destiny, I've told you. You can
Okay, this one versus what Destiny said. May all visitors, children, non-MAGA voters, and pets be safe and dry. Kerr County voted MAGA that got FEMA. No. Oh, dude. Because right now, what you should be saying, and this is how you be manipulative, okay, in a good way, for positive reasons, but you say you don't include children. You don't make fun of the children dying, all right? It's not the children's fault they're going to be crazy. It's the parents' fault. It's all the parents. It's all the adults. It's the elected officials. You need to target the elected officials. Target the Republican Party. Don't target the people. You never put the people. You put the people, like when you talk about people, American citizens, they should be at the forefront of your positive messaging. Your building rallying calls, your call to action should involve people. But when you criticize, you know, in a political sense, what happened here, it should all be about Republicans. If you want to say Republicans killed the kids, that's a much better response than making it personalized like this. And you shouldn't be like, this is also unhinged, but it's also a random ass comment. It's a random ass comment on the internet. And we have the president of the United States blaming plane crashes, blaming floods, blaming fires on black people for existing, blaming every problem in America on black and brown people. Okay? And I want to make sure we have good advocates to push that topic in these conversations.
climate change. May they get what they voted for. Bless their hearts.
Put them on their heels.
My question,
put them on their
Brian,
heels.
Putting that together with what Destiny posted, which again, for the record, I thought was disgusting. Destiny, I told you.
I'm curious. I am curious what Brian's going to do here.
You can defend it as much as you like, but it was just a sick, awful thing to post.
He's not going to defend the comments. He's not going to defend it.
But that's
He'll
entirely your
pivot pretty
decision.
quick.
But Brian, I've seen this on the other side too. I've seen this during the Biden administration when terrible things happen, that there's a race for people to get political, to play a race card or play this card or play that card, or just show a shocking inhumanity. And it's the very worst of society.
Here, really quick. And I'm going to pause a lot. It's my video. If there's Destiny fans that watch this or you know, any other fan from here, you get mad, go watch the original video. Okay, right now, when Brian says here, it's okay to make it political because these decisions are political. They made decisions to kill the kids and blah, blah, blah. Or not to kill the kids, but to not put preventative measures in place. Do not build the alert systems. Like, that was a decision they made. That was a political, a strictly political decision that cost lives. That was costing lives. But now now think about this for a second. Now on this panel, when Brian says it's okay to politicize it, what are people going to think when he says politicize it? Are they going to think the Republican Party made policy decisions to put more kids in harm's way? Or are they going to tie the politicize to what Destiny said in that tweet? Think about that for a second of how the messaging becomes poisoned. Again, I want aggressive messaging, even somewhat offensive messaging sometimes. I'm okay with that. But just think about that.
When that happens. What do we do about this? I think it's fueled by social media. People wouldn't be able to
Yeah, Cloud, it is a right-wing bot comment section. It is in the comments right now. I'm used to it.
Get the audience for this kind of thing without TikTok, without Facebook, without X and so on. But it's a sick thing that this goes on when these terrible tragedies happen.
Look, I obviously can't speak for what some random person on the internet tweeted about Camp Mystic. All I can say is look, I try to have some sense of the fact that there are as many Republicans in California as there are in Texas, and there are as many Democrats in Texas as there are in major big blue bastions. And so I try to focus on that and recognize that a lot of these people are a lot of these people are fighting against the same system that I would be fighting against, and I would obviously not attack folks in Texas, but I would point out that
okay, Brian first goes off and says, "I'm not going to attack the people." Good.
Ben said that. Ben said that these storms aren't partisan, and that we have to try. I can't remember what Ben said, but the reality is that while the wildfires were raging in California, Ben and Ted had a podcast where they just attacked where they attacked Governor Newsom and Karen Bass. And that was while the fires were still raging. And so, you know, spare us the grandstanding and the virtue signaling about how this stuff doesn't get partisan. This was here's Ted Cruz's tweet. Right now, everyone is horrified watching the LA wildfires. In today's episode of Verdict, we break down the catastrophic policy decisions made by Gavin Newsom and LA Mayor Karen Bass. While the wildfires were still raging in Los Angeles, while I was standing on my roof in LA, spraying down my house with a hose to make sure that my house wouldn't set on fire when the fire was down the street within 1 mile of my house.
Did you listen to the show?
And so Ted Cruz decided to come out and make his entire episode, which, by the way, there is not.
So I'll tell you what.
Did you listen to the show? You can say that for anything then. Oh, there's not enough context.
Because I was on that show.
Excuse me, let him finish. You cried so much about people interrupting. Let him finish.
I know. Ben is like arguing for death.
You said we did a show. You're putting words in our mouth of something we didn't say.
I read the tweet verbatim. That's what I did.
Did you listen to the show?
Now Brian here has not enough spice. He needs a little bit more spice, a little bit more of an attack. Okay, like words like verbatim are cringe and liberal. I almost said linge. Cringe and liberal. They are linge. Okay, they are cringe and liberal. Throw in a couple insults. I don't know.
I'll tell
you
what we did.
Did you watch the Lifetime movie? Did you see the documentary?
What we did was we talked about the decisions that were made in favor of...
I gotta get on a show like this, bro. Not like this. I'm not gonna be popular enough for this, but like still, I gotta get on something.
Well, let Ben say what he thinks he said. Let's listen to Ben.
I'll redo the show in a very quick form. What we talked about were the decisions that were made with underbrush not being cleared out and the massive warnings that were coming. We also talked about what the fire chief said about those warnings. We talked about the lack of water pressure. We talked about them cleaning up some of the holding tanks. We talked about also the fact that there were certain things that were done to save fish over having the ability to fight these types of fires.
That's not true at all. These are all not true things. Debunking these things is really difficult. It's just like... And the same points would be made like, well, you made all these partisan political statements right away, and then you added more nuance in your full video. We did that too. But the issue is the points they're bringing up right now, the nuance. Okay, the nuance here is completely fake. Like these are all fake points. The thing with the fire pressure, fire hydrant pressure, the thing with the reservoirs or the little fishy or the water that Trump dumped up north. Those are all lies, and the points we made about this flood are true. So how do you parse that nuance there? You need a really concise framing here.
And everything that went into it, we talked about the decisions that were made that then made for a poor response that made you have to be on your roof, as you described it, spraying down because there wasn't adequate decisions that were made with those winds that came through with the underbrush.
You think the reason that I was on my roof was because while the Santa Ana winds were ripping through LA at 100 miles per hour and 50,000 acres of LA were burning, that some bogus fucking story about the smelt, about Delta smelt is why LA was burning? You're a joke, bro. You have no idea what you were talking about. You have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm quoting the people in your government.
There is no amount of water pressure in the world through these hydrants that are going to be able to put out 50,000 acres of fire. Yes, you did. You're talking about smelt and you're talking about no water pressure.
I didn't say that. If you turn on every hydrant, you know this. You lose water pressure. That's not what I said, by the way.
Let me grant you the larger point, though. And I think the point that you're trying to make, I'll grant you this, even though you don't deserve it and you're just going to spew a bunch of bullshit about smelt and water pressure.
Okay, brother?
But let me grant you the larger point and say that there are still things that people could do. And I'm not here to argue that California did a perfect job or does a perfect job with regards to how they manage all of this stuff. But to that point, then, do you think it's maybe a little stupid that Trump would fire 10% of NOAA's workforce, which is about 1,300 staffers?
It was overstaffed. It was actually overstaffed, bro.
Researchers. Do you think it's a good idea then that Trump called for reducing NOAA's workforce by a further 17%, which would be another 2,000 staffers and researchers? Do you think it's a good idea that Trump slashed 20% of FEMA's workforce? Do you think it's a smart idea to phase out FEMA completely? Do you think it's a smart idea that 25...
See, like Brian here, like this guy right here is going to place a lot onto Brian. He's not doing enough to place it onto this guy. You need some other comments, some like swag here, some swag, okay, some spice. It is true, like it's very true that California, there is no water infrastructure in the world that could have solved this fire situation. It was just that bad. It was a fire hurricane or a fire tornado, whatever you want to say. And Brian did kind of say that. I saw that on Twitter too, that same exact statement. But he also, you know, the flooding, you have to pound that point home. Like these kids could have been saved by this alarm system that Republicans did not do. And also the FEMA is late. I don't know if they knew about the FEMA thing at this point when they recorded this. But there's a better way to pound this stuff home. You could package it in a better framing.
5% of NWS's stations lack a meteorologist. Okay. All of this stuff is
let's go back to the basics here.
Fire tornado.
If you're asking about the size of government and the president making a decision to reduce the size of government when it makes sense. I have no issue with that. By the way, the staffing and the lies that were put out by many on the left and the media was that there was understaffing when it came to the warnings that were coming out from the National Weather Service. That was a lie. They were staffed above normal staffing levels.
Yeah.
They held people over the day before and the night of the storm in Texas. They had double the staff on staff when the storms were hitting. There's a timeline of all the texts that were going out and the warnings that were going out. And so you're acting as if Donald Trump caused a problem with the flood and the response to it in the warning system, which is a lie. When you have double the staff, which is the protocol, by the way, under Obama, under Biden, and
So, Kerr County and FEMA did not alert cell phones as the flooding began. There was never, you know, those warning messages you get to your smartphones. They never sent those out. FEMA, the person that coordinates the local response, was cut from the administration with a forced, well, I mean, like a pressured early retirement. That's a big issue, and also. There's a bunch of issues. What that guy just said about the overstaffing. It doesn't matter if you have overstaff for this one night. If you cut every person with experience that can handle a major event like this, that's a natural disaster. That's going to be like a not generational. It's every few months now. With how bad the globe is getting with weather and climate. I can't say the word climate because conservatives piss their pants if I say the word climate and start crying like little babies.
Under George Bush. So this is nonpartisan, and everyone showed up for work, and people were held over. You're now just trying to score political points on the lives of dead children for political reasons.
Okay,
Let me
bring in Natalie because it should be waiting patient.
Don't grant him anything. Pound the point home. Don't grant him anything. Don't say, let me grant you. Like, why would you ever grant him anything? Like, you don't grant him something and say he doesn't deserve it. Don't grant him it. Pound the point home. Do not grant him anything. Like, you have to counter the propaganda with your own form of very strong, convincing messaging, Brian. You cannot you can't be on the back foot here. You have to be charging forward.
Natalie, when I read out what Destiny posted there, what was your feeling about that?
Well, I think that's probably the textbook definition of what it means to be a grifter, trying to profit off of dead children by pumping NordVPN and your promo code. It's
It's a fake promo code.
I'm pretty sure you're an atheist. You don't believe in God. You certainly don't believe in traditional marriage. So I would expect nothing less that you would double down and defend it. Blows my mind. I mean, I agree comedy is important, but I don't think, no offense, maybe shouldn't be a stand-up comedian if you want to start your...
Oh, someone in the comments said, I live in Canyon Lake, Texas, and yes, they sent alerts out. Hey, buddy, do you know this county, the county we are talking about, the proper alerts were not sent out. I'm glad you live in that area of Texas, in Canyon Lake. But where all these kids died...
career by posting about dead children. It's really not all that funny. And it really wasn't even a joke. You were trying to profit off of it. So I think that's sort of a...
Unless if you're saying these kids and these parents are too dumb and the government didn't fail them, but they failed themselves and their kids, which I think is pretty disgusting if you want to put the blame on the kids because the government failed them because you want to suck up for your politicians like a little cuck. Like it's so
compounding evilness to what you did.
What do we do, Natalie?
So real quick, for compounding evilness, just so I could read this because entered into the record, okay? I'm just curious if Ben wants to say, is this quote fake, okay? So there's hundreds of these quotes, all right? At a county meeting, okay, where the citizens are giving feedback on whether or not they should use the American Rescue Plan funds, all right? Citizen Mr. R says, there's not just a lack of transparency, but the Biden administration is pulling the wool over our eyes. If we see what's actually written, we make a clear decision. This is wrong. Texas has been going in the right direction. I moved from Washington State a year ago. Washington is just falling lockstep with whatever this admin wants to do, and we're watching with clarity the damage. As far as COVID and the recovery money, the majority of the damage has been caused by the government. We're doing well. I'm a retired firefighter, EMS. I love law enforcement. So do no harm is going by the wayside. Let me finish one more sentence. Do no harm is going by the wayside.
So, if you look up FEMA records right now, someone asked for proof of it. FEMA records show there were alerts sent out, but there was no direction given. The coordination officer I keep on bringing up, the super experienced person that they forced out with the early retirement package, he was the person for FEMA and local coordination that worked with local officials. The local officials never sent out actual instructions for what to do. So when they get a flash flood alert or emergency, they were not told this was going to be catastrophic. Other areas were told this. This area was not told this because the infrastructure was ruined. And when it was too late, there was not an alarm system in place for last-second evacuations. If you want to try to research that, you can. Don't go on Twitter. Do some actual research from some journalistic sources, even local news. If you don't trust the big corporate media, do some local journalism or look at local journalists.
We're all familiar with that, and it's heartfelt, but it's going by the wayside. For now, what would be money that would go against everything that we believe, whatever good is in it, I don't want it. Are you telling me that comment and the hundreds of others like it are fake? Can you give me a yes or no before you ramble about whatever relevant stuff is? Are those comments fake?
Someone said you live there, and that's why you were able to leave. Apparently, if you want to call the other families dumb, that's fine. But I'm saying the government's at fault. The government failed their people, and we have evidence to say so. If you want to say that they are too dumb to evacuate their own kids or the kids they were watching, you can say that, but I think it's pretty gross.
I'm going to go back to what I want to say. You said what you said. I'm going to say it. Number one,
yeah, this is why you
that's one. I'm answering the damn question, dude. Like, just chill for a second. Drink whatever hemp juice or that is. Okay,
yeah, keep going.
All right. So number one, that's one person. Number two, if you weren't
here at a news conference, NBC5 investigates reached out to Kirk County Judge Rob Kelly and Emergency Management Coordinator William Thomas, but they did not immediately respond to questions. At a news conference last week, Kelly was asked why the children's camps along the river were not evacuated. I cannot answer that. I don't know. Okay, so when you have a county judge and the emergency management coordinator, okay, not responding to any comments, and when you ask them, like, hey, why were people not evacuated? And they say, I don't know. Are you saying the families are too dumb, or do you want to blame the people whose job it is to warn people? Like, are you going to blame, who are you going to blame here? If there really were these warnings ahead of time. And again, the alert system is good if people are sleeping or if their phones are not on. Because this happened in the early morning hours. When people are going to be sleeping, and when people are going to look at their phones and not know what's going to be happening.
So dumb. If you weren't.
And regardless, the FEMA response was delayed because Kristi Noem was playing dress up, going to fancy dinners, and she did not approve the response mechanisms from FEMA.
So dumb. If you weren't so dumb,
that one if you want.
If you weren't good, you found two. If you weren't so dumb, go Google the size. Go Google the size of the Comfort, Texas City Hall. You can't fit hundreds of people in any meeting there. You moron. You found one. You act like there's thousands that showed up. They did not show up and say that on the record. Are there people that said things on the internet?
And then the
there
people
are
can
some.
go out.
But if you look at how small the community is,
if you see a room that can only fit 10 people, did you know that 100 people can fit in that room and 10 go in and 10 leave? Are we forget this?
Again, if you understood the size of the town, which you don't because you don't care because you're literally trying to make money off of dead people.
You're the one who's getting kids.
You would know that this is an insane thing that you're saying. You moron.
The next time the power grid freezes, the next time another flood happens and dipshits like you were up here saying, could we have ever seen it coming? Hey, you know what? At least Marjorie Taylor Greene is out here proposing legislation to stop the Jews from putting clouds in the sky. So thank God we have you guys working hard on the problem, okay, to stop the weather modification program from Bill Gates. Thank God. Thank you.
Do you stay up till 3 a.m. and watch the internet?
Thank you, God. Thank you, God.
Okay, Brian. Let's just talk on a bigger picture about because it's interesting to me, the whole Epstein thing, for example, I think has been fueled, the sequence of events, by what Elon Musk put on X. And he's now creating a third party. He said...
By the way, they tried, they were going to remove FEMA. Trump and Elon, whatever, they were going to remove FEMA. And now they reversed their decision. They're no longer going to remove FEMA. Okay, they were going to kill FEMA, now they're going to keep it on for a little bit longer. I've heard reports of that. I don't know how true it is, but it's kind of funny. The political pressure is working. They know they messed up. And, you know, if you care about this situation, Trump's admin is talking about chemtrails and cloud seeding and blaming conspiracy theories on this rain. So I think that tells you all you need to know. If they truly did nothing wrong, why would they lie about cloud seeding and chemtrails? Why would they lie about it? Why would they lie about the FEMA funds? Why would they lie about Kristi Noem not sending the right responses to this area? Why would they lie? I think they would not lie if they actually knew they did a good job here and they know they messed up. Please drop a like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah, and Republicans lied about Biden and FEMA. Like, Biden gave, like, 100% FEMA approval every single time he could. Trump had to be begged by Huckabee Sanders of Arkansas, the governor, to give Arkansas emergency declaration of FEMA funds. Like, all the things they criticized Biden for supposedly doing, they do. Like, 50 times worse. And Biden didn't do it. But Biden got blamed because when someone is able to lie so effectively and so shamelessly, they're going to be getting the top... you know, they're going to get an optics win or whatever. They fired the FEMA chief because he didn't agree with eliminating... Oh.
That we have a lot of support.
Nice. Oh, man. This is crazy. Kristi Noem. There was a shooting in Kentucky? What kind of shooting was in Kentucky? Something on Vladimir Putin. There's something on Jeffrey Epstein.
And now to another big story. The president is defending U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi. Her and FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino are...
I love people blaming Pam Bondi as if Donald Trump is not the president. Like blaming Pam Bondi as if it was her decision to reverse course on the Epstein files. It was not her decision. It was Donald Trump's.
Reportedly at odds over the handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files.
But they want to blame a woman. They want to blame the woman. I guarantee you that's the entire goal.
Now with the details on that story. Hey, Chanley.
Hey, Kevin, Rachel, and Charlie. So the president is stepping in to defend his Attorney General, Pam Bondi, as doing, quote, a fantastic job after she came under fire from some Trump supporters over the Department of Justice's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files. The president posting this in part, quote, "1 year ago, our country was dead. Now it's the hottest country anywhere in the world. Let's keep it that way and not waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody that nobody cares about."
Did you see we had the biggest exodus, the biggest loss of scientific technology and scientific talent from America in American history? A lot of scientists are leaving America because MAGA is so anti-science and so anti-technology. They're fleeing to other countries and really killing American production. Our biomedical research is really falling down, and also our cancer research and Alzheimer's research are being cut by Trump. And as someone who knows a lot of people that suffered from Alzheimer's and cancer, it's really disgusting that Trump is cutting those programs to give more tax cuts to the wealthy. You know?
President's post coming after some Trump supporters criticized Bondi or even called for her resignation after the DOJ and the FBI on Sunday released a joint 2-page statement on the Epstein case that concluded there was no celebrity client list, naming those who allegedly took part in Epstein's history as a sexual predator. In February, though, Bondi had indicated that such a document was sitting on her desk. The DOJ also concluded that Epstein did commit suicide, in his New York City jail cell in 2019 while awaiting further sex trafficking charges.
What's the entire story? Does anyone in the comments know? What is the story about Epstein? Like, when it comes to the Epstein video of the prison cell, Trump was president back then, so his administration would have handled the video, the raw footage. But they said there was no tape at all, and the cameras were off. What is the story about how they got footage? I know the footage is heavily edited and doctored. We don't know how much and how fake. But what is the story about how we said for years we don't have any footage of the cell, and now we do? Like, what is their reasoning there?
Charges, yet a missing minute in the jail video that was released has only spurred conspiracy theorists.
Yeah, missing minute.
FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino reportedly clashed with Bondi over her handling of the Epstein matter last week and has told confidants that he's may actually resign if Bondi remains in her post. Guys, we shall see.
Thank you, Chanley.
Thanks, Chanley.
You know, obviously there are lots and lots of questions that have been swirling about Jeffrey Epstein for.
Someone said it's a different camera. I was under the impression that when we were saying is there a video, and they said there is no video, the cameras are off. I was under the impression that there were no cameras on because I feel like when you say is there a video of it, that means any camera that would that means any video of it. That could be any camera. What do you mean it's a different camera?
A long time.
Are you sure it's not artificial intelligence making up a fake video?
For over 10 years, and the government's involvement in it. If there's anybody who could walk in and say, okay, we've resolved all of the questions and there is nothing here, it would be President Trump and his crew. The problem is you can't really do it without giving some explanation, and there has to be some explanation, and I think that's why.
Well, Trump said the explanation was that Democrats ended up actually making it. Democrats were the reason that there's Epstein files. Obama and Hillary made the Epstein files. They are fake. They're fake files. Oh no, they're fake files. There's a Netanyahu interview on here. They're fake files, but if they are real, then Democrats actually made them. Really interesting here. I know they're talking about the assassination attempt.
Next. Meanwhile, Mamdani landing the endorsement of a
Ruh-roh. Charlie Kirk talking about Zohran Mamdani. Now I know Charlie Kirk is crazy. When Charlie Kirk talks about Zohran Mamdani, he calls him an illegal foreigner who will never be American. He says that black and brown people poison America and they will make our culture collapse whether they are legally here or illegally here. So the mask is coming off of Charlie Kirk. He blamed that flood in Texas on a black fire chief from like 2 hours away in Austin. He said the fire chief, it was his fault somehow. So these are white supremacists. So Charlie Kirk is probably going to say something like that.
A Democrat Senate candidate in Michigan tying himself to New York City's socialist candidate, Zohran Mamdani, with a Facebook ad that reads, Zohran won, Abdul is next. Meanwhile...
Bro, that sounds like a conservative nightmare, bro. Zohran won, Abdul is next. Every conservative in America, like, they wake up in the middle of the night sweating when they hear those names. Holy crap.
Mamdani landing the endorsement of a top Cuomo backer.
Barack Hussein.
They're attacked by Donald Trump and the Republicans. So we have no choice but to come together. The people have spoken. So for me, it is a privilege and an honor to be here and support Assemblyman Zohran Mamdani for mayor of the city of New York. And we need him.
Influence
Joining
works.
me to discuss is Charlie
Influence
Kirk, founder
works.
of
People
Turning
power
Point
does work.
USA. So great to see you this morning, Charlie.
You just got to show
Thanks
up.
for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning.
Yeah, before we get to the whole situation in New York, I wanted to focus a little bit on the Michigan situation, where you have a state that has been sort of we kind of talk about it as a swing state, but it's actually been a Democrat state for many, many, many years until Donald Trump came along and turned it into a swing state and has successfully twice turned it into a Trump state. And you have Republicans sort of trying to talk about common sense issues, and you have Democrats now completely running off with the circus of socialism. How's that going to work out?
Well, that's right. Yeah, and remember, President Trump won the youth vote in the state of Michigan this last November, which was a victory heard around the world. The Mamdani effect is going to metastasize in the Democrat Party. Now, how successful it will be in a general election, I don't know. I still have my skepticism. But the Mamdani effect is grievance-based politics, playing into people's bitterness, and also playing into the economic disorder that
I would
Biden
never,
left us. Now, President
I would never imagine someone leaning into bitterness as their political model. Holy crap. But also, Mamdani talking about people coming together to build is the same thing Bernie Sanders said, not me, us, okay? The Bernie thing, the Democratic Socialist thing, George Orwell was a Democratic Socialist, so was Albert Einstein, by the way, just for people who are stupid. The whole not me, us is a reversal of Trump, which is not us, me. Just think about that political model.
Trump is going to fix this, and he is aiming to fix this. But understand, for the younger voters that I represent and the younger voters that delivered the White House for President Trump, they can't afford homes. They're increasingly renting. They're not getting married. They're not having children. So there's two ways this can go. An optimistic, patriotic vision like President Trump is offering, or a very dark and sinister vision, one that is anti-Western, anti-American, anti-civilization, which you're seeing from Abdul.
Anti-Western, anti-American, anti-civilization. Ooh, a lot of dog whistles there.
And Zohran Mamdani. We saw a little bit this from Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and AOC.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe this effect will only continue in the Democrat Party for years to come.
So, of course, obviously, you have devoted your life to talking to young people, and we're reminded.
Oh, yeah, he has. All the Republicans do that now after Trump and Epstein.
Going to Abdul El Sayed in Michigan, one of the things this is what he told Newsweek back in July 8th. If President Trump is bringing hate, we bring love. He's bringing more pain, we're bringing healing. If he's bringing that danger and insecurity, we're bringing a kind of empathy and a kind of understanding. Socialism, and this is the frustration, and this is where I think what your work is so important. Young people don't understand that that's not what socialism is. Socialism is a brutal, brutal regime for which 100 million people around the world over the past 100 years have died.
Well, that's right. And that kind of radical vision, or even lack thereof, because it doesn't take much talent to say that, is rooted when people do not own stuff. And this is the greatest crisis that is facing us. We need to have a national project, and I believe President Trump will be able to accomplish this.
The big thing here, the word socialism is always used as a scary dog whistle. Now, Donald Trump is cutting taxes for the wealthy, cutting taxes for BlackRock, which Charlie Kirk talks about a lot. He's the best friend of BlackRock, and Charlie Kirk never criticizes Trump for it because Charlie Kirk's a little cuckboy. But yeah, like Donald Trump is cutting taxes for the wealthy and cutting Medicaid, cutting food assistance, cutting our programs that help to save little kids from dying in Africa. Like they're cutting all these programs. They're cutting 80,000 workers from the VA, and they're going to use it all to pay for tax cuts for the wealthy. Cutting National Weather Service, cutting Alzheimer's research, cutting cancer research. It is not the America First Party. It really is not. I mean, even saying America First is a interesting slogan because they hate America, and Trump is a Maoist, and he believes that tariffs and nationalizing companies is the best thing. He's a corporatist fascist by definition, like Mussolini.
How do we get more young people under the age of 35 to have equity in the system?
Yes.
Not the Democrat version of equity where they want to have redistribution, but actually, are they paying a mortgage? Do they own stuff? Or are they permanent renters? A permanent renting class in this country is the prerequisite, is the leading ingredient for radical politics that nobody wants to see. We need to reinvigorate the ownership economy. And then all of a sudden, when you own stuff, you're less likely to burn down a Wendy's and vote for candidates like Zohran Mamdani.
Indeed. And of course,
is that why Donald Trump is giving more power to corporate mergers and monopolies than any president in American history? Because he wants more people to own things, or does he want more? Does he want one mega corporation that donated money to him? All the corporations that pay him off can become huge owners of all of everything. Give all of our data to Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and Palantir and AI. Is that going to give us more ownership?
We're seeing in Michigan is going to be a problem for Democrats throughout. DNC chair.
Someone said BlackRock is leftist. Holy shit. Brain dead, brain dead, brain dead.
Had this to say about Mamdani.
What about concerns from some of your Jewish colleagues in particular about him not outright condemning the phrase globalize the intifada in a recent interview? Some of your Jewish colleagues have said that that could be very disturbing, potentially dangerous. Do you agree with that?
you know, there's no candidate in this party that I agree 100% of the time with, to be honest with you. There's things that I don't agree with Mamdani that he said. But at the end of the day, I always believe, as a Democratic Party chair in Minnesota for the last 14 years, and now the chair of the DNC, that you win through addition. We are a big tent party. Yes, it leads to dissent and debate, and there's differences of opinions on a whole host of issues.
So this is just a big tent party.
Well, I have two immediate thoughts on that. Number one, he being from Minnesota, he knows exactly how to say nothing while saying a lot of words because he's had to try to defend Ilhan Omar and Keith Ellison. Right. He knows how to defend the anti-civilizational forces in the Democrat Party. But number two, and this is the most important thing for the audience to internalize, you might think the Democrats are going to moderate. You might think that, oh, you know, I want to Gavin Newsom show and he's going to move to the middle. No, 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 no. The rise of Mamdani and that ridiculous statement from Ken Martin shows the canary in the coal mine is the Democrats are going to double and triple down on an anti-civilizational agenda. They are going...
When he says anti-civilizational, he's saying anti-white American. He's saying anti-white. This is the neo-Nazi talking point, 100%. You would never say anti-civilizational. If you care about America, you talk about things like giving healthcare to veterans, healthcare to kids. You want to talk about jobs. You talk about making America better through industry and through manufacturing and through actual programs. Now, Charlie Kirk here talks about civilization collapsing, and he talks about a bunch of all these dog whistles because he does not give a shit about America. He gives a shit about authoritarianism. Whenever he says anti-civilization and he brings up only brown politicians, there is a reason he does that. It's very intentional. When he blames the Texas floods on a black fire chief from 2 hours away, when he blames plane crashes on DEI, when he blames black people for every problem in America, black and brown people, when he says that legal immigrants need to be kicked out and denaturalized and deported and jailed for being black and brown. All right, when he says those things, you should listen to him. He is a neo-Nazi. He is explicitly a neo-Nazi. He believes all the same shit. He just says it in prettier language with better dog whistles.
To go more in the encampment direction that we saw at Columbia University and Harvard University, which should be, for everybody in the audience, a chilling alternative if we do not maintain Republican majorities and win.
Like during Vietnam protests, like people like him and all the Trump supporters would have been happy they gunned down students during Vietnam protests at like Kent State, for example. How gullible they are is kind of wild. Like, you don't like any anti-war movement. You're not anti-war. Every time there's an anti-war movement, you want to put them in jail. Like, you just are pro whatever your daddy tells you to believe in.
Future, the Democrats, they're going to offer stuff that we have not seen in this country ever.
Right. And it's a reminder that we need to teach young people
Turning Point
the
brown
truth.
shirts.
And
True.
you're doing that. Turning Point Student Action Summit kicks off today.
Great replacement
explain the summit to us and give us some hope.
Kent State.
Well, there's a lot of hope. We'll have 7,000 students here in Tampa, Florida. First and foremost, celebrating that we kind of accomplished what we set out to do 13 years ago.
Kent State was 1970. At Kent State University, the National Guard of Ohio fired on unarmed student protesters, killing 4, wounding 9. I looked it up on Google because I forgot the exact numbers. But yeah, it was a student protest. The National Guard was policing it. And these are the dangers of sending in the military and even the National Guard into American streets. But at the time, Americans were pro-Vietnam. You know, Americans were very pro-Vietnam for a long time. We were there for a decent amount of time. Same thing with the Middle East and Afghanistan and Iraq, and same thing with Iran right now. Everyone sours eventually. But yeah, look up Kent State. There's a few other shootings at different campuses. But students were always protesting to be anti-war, and they're left-wingers. The left-wingers were always anti-war. The right-wingers were always pro-war. They pretended to be anti-war. They always pretend to be, but they never are.
President Trump won the youth vote back in November. The younger generation.
Oh, I thought you were asking what it is. Okay, I'm sorry. At least the youngins in chat now know what Kent State is.
Delivered the White House for President Trump. So we're celebrating that. But also, the work is not done. We have a mandate to fulfill. We have a lot of work to do. We have to try to create this vanguard against the rise of Mamdaniism, as we are seeing in this country.
Mamdaniism,
because
dude.
These 7,000 students here in
His
Tampa
name is Mamdani.
this weekend. We
He's
have Pete Hegseth,
Italian.
and we have Christy Nome, and we have Greg Gutfeld. We have amazing speakers will be here. Laura Ingraham. This remnant that we are
Laura
building
Ingraham.
with younger
Oh, my
voters is one
goodness.
of the
I'm so
most important
excited.
generational investments.
Shit.
Because, you know, we could talk about one big beautiful bill and all the stuff on Capitol Hill, but what happens on college campuses does
Imagine being
stay on college campuses. It will grow into corporate life. It will grow into the halls of Congress.
Now, Charlie Kirk is correct. His movement on college campuses is very dangerous and very huge. Democrats are pathetic in response to it. It's kind of scary. It is scary. Look at Oklahoma right now. They have PragerU as an actual like source for most of their educational materials in high school. They're having a complete Christian nationalist education, and kids are born without any information. So if you want to convince them the 2020 election was stolen and all this crazy shit, you can convince them. Obviously, they're kids. They don't know any better. It's not their fault. But we're going to have a lot of kids growing up who believe shit that's a completely different reality. Completely different reality. That's why they're so anti-public schooling, by the way. the big thing about public schooling is it makes you interact with other people from other backgrounds. And if you're a very fundamentalist, like Christian, for example, you probably do not want your kid interacting with others from other backgrounds and belief systems because they can be corrupted, right? Be corrupted and stop believing everything you told your kid. They want control over the kids and their brains.
And what Turning Point USA is doing here this weekend in Tampa, Florida, I believe will help make sure America remains free and strong for generations to come.
Obviously, President Trump has succeeded at reaching a lot of young people. Do you feel like you're having success getting Republicans or conservatives to recognize how important it is to talk about those issues like you were just talking about the fact that we can't have a permanent rental class and how incredible...
Wait a second. Okay, so Charlie Kirk talked about like housing and stuff. We know Trump's not helping with anything, but then most of the conversation was about like anti-Western civilization. Like anti-Western civilization. Like, I need to make sure we have a good response to these dog whistles that don't sound super beta, because obviously it's going to keep on being brought up. They're going to keep on attacking immigrants and wanting ethnic cleansing in America. So that's going to be scary. It's going to keep on happening. But how do we respond very effectively to this? Probably like Joe Rogan, Andrew Schultz, and Theo Vaughn, and whatever else. Like all these podcasters are going to be moved pretty easily. But we need something to pound at home.
Incredibly difficult it is for a 23-year-old to even think about buying a house.
Yeah. It's so important. And President Trump understands.
Their answer, by the way, to the housing problem is kick all the black and brown people out of America. Therefore, there'll be so much housing for us. Now, the truth is, immigration makes things cheaper in America. It makes wages go up. Immigrants in general are a huge benefit to America. Even in the most self-serving way. Let's say you think immigrants are disgusting people. Like, immigrants help America. And then immigrants are pretty awesome on top of that. So anyone who's anti-immigrant is not only a hateful dumbass, they're also very stupid and dumb combined.
This is why he won the youth vote in so many states like Michigan, because it's an ongoing, let's say, a journey. Because some Republicans say, look, all we have to do is just cut tax cuts on the corporate side. Guys, no, you have to think more creatively. If you do not have a generation that owns stuff, it's not the same economic model of the 70s and 80s. We've printed trillions of dollars. We're trillions of dollars in debt. Biden let 20 million people illegally into this country. We have to say that there's a new social compact, which is if you have a 28-year-old who has $100,000 in student loan debt because they have a sociology degrry and they cannot afford a home in the big 10 biggest cities in America, well, then we are failing that next generation. And that's why President Trump won this demographic, because he promised them he'll deliver for them. And I hope. And
like student loan debt, I know conservatives don't think sociology and planning your society and economy matter much because they don't have, those things we think with. Student loan debt should not be a thing. It really should not be a thing. In a nation that wants to be the best nation of all time, you do not want people to have to take out risky investments for themselves. Like if you think about student loans, let's say you're going to medical school, like you are taking out so much money in debt, in loans, and you need to bet on yourself to work hard and pay off those loans. And you can say there's a financial payoff at the end, but really you're giving a huge benefit to society becoming a doctor. And there's no reason we should have any debt at all for medical school. And paying for that would be like 1/2 the budget of ICE right now. And that would make America amazing. Having more doctors, having less medical debt, strapping them down. It's so stupid. It's an investment into human capital in America that makes America great. But Republicans just want to attack immigrants, attack trans people, attack other groups they don't like because they're authoritarians. They don't care about America. They care about their America. And their America, their Western civilization, their whatever is, whatever they think their racial purity and their ethnic and cultural purity is. When Charlie Kirk talks about, oh, they're making America well, they're poisoning the blood of America. What do they really mean? Please drop a like, comment, and subscribe. MAGA hats are made in China. True. All right. When is the next Kent State at Los Angeles? Maybe. I mean, it could happen anywhere. Especially if the economy goes really bad, which the economy is going to crash during Trump's administration, 100%. Way worse than we've seen in our lifetimes. All right. I'm gonna hop off right now. This was a little surprise stream to record a couple videos from my YouTube channel. So I'm gonna go and get those uploaded, and then I'm gonna go continue my day. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for dropping a like. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you to everyone new that's joining. At night, I'll do a call-in stream. I'll take actual calls tonight around like 9 p.m. So if you want to come back, come back on around 9 p.m. tonight, and I'll take some phone calls. We'll watch a couple more videos. If you have anything to recommend, go into my Discord. My Discord is in the channel description. Not channel. I keep on saying that. I have to put it in my channel. I don't have it there yet. It's in my video description and my stream description. So if you go on my channel, go on any video, go under any video on my channel. It'll have my Discord. Join Discord. You can drop links in there, chat with people, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, thank you for joining me. I'll talk to you later. Thank you. Have a good one. Have a good one as well. Have a good one. Where were you when Obama deported 5 million immigrants? I thought you don't like Obama. Are you saying Obama's based? You love Obama now? I thought you... That's so weird. Thank you, Colton. Did you miss what he just said? He was making a YouTube video not to answer your question. Thank you. Thank you. I look at streams sometimes, or I look at chat sometimes, but yeah. Obviously, if I'm going to come on here, or if I'm going to sit here for an hour and react to videos for content, I'm going to do it on stream. Because there's no point to not do it on stream. Or I'll be sitting here alone, talking to myself. No interaction at all with the chat. What am I going to do? Who knows? Alright, have a good day, guys. See you later. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you want to donate, you can donate to Jolah Politics and Cash App, PayPal, or Venmo, or become a channel member for a green name. Alright, talk to you later.